So Jake Paul thought he'd secured a fight with Canelo, and then Canelo went and signed a deal with the Arabs, and now Jake Paul's pissed off and he's been throwing a hissy fit online for the last few days. So let's talk about it. Before we do, my name's Rahul J Chan. This is the Battle Camp. Thank you very much for joining me. If you're new to the channel, please do consider subscribing. So look, man, cards on the table. I don't like Jake Paul. I'm not a fan of Jake Paul. So last week, when rumours were rife that Canelo is close to signing a deal to face Jake Paul, I was mildly disappointed. I was mildly annoyed because I did not want Jake Paul to have any form of credibility for stepping into that ring with Canelo. So when Canelo did a 180 and he decided to sign a deal with Take Al Sheikh, I was happy. I was very happy. And then I actually thought to myself, what is my favourite moment of Jake Paul's boxing career? And I factored in the loss of Tommy Fury. And I have to say, actually, the fact that Canelo snubbed him ranks higher than Jake Paul losing. Now, look, I'm not a hater, right? I don't just hate or dislike Jake Paul for no reason. I don't mind that he wants to box. I don't care that he boxes, right? It's just more who he is as an individual and what he stands for that really grinds my gears. Because when he first came on the scene, there was a couple of things that he said, right? He said that he wanted to prove that he's a really good boxer and he wants to become world champion. No problem with that. Everyone has a right to dream. The second thing that he said is he wants to promote female boxing. No problem with that. That's a really noble cause. And actually, he's done a lot on that front. He's actually delivered for certain fighters on his roster, like Serrano, etc. The thing that annoys me the most is point number 3, where he said he's an advocate for fighters' rights. He's really annoyed at how fighters are treated, and he's here to help support. He talked about creating an MMA union, and he was really vocal about how Dana White and the UFC mistreat their fighters and how they're severely underpaid, and he's here to do something about it. Fast forward however many years, because I can't remember exactly when it is that he said all of this, and there was all these articles and there was interviews that he did, and he spoke about it. He signed a deal with the PFL talking about how he's here to advocate for fighters' rights, etc., etc. Nothing's come of it. And the reason why nothing's come of it is he's done nothing about it. And the reason why he's done nothing about it is because he just used that as a weapon to beat Dana White with, who he was in a very public feud with at the time. To me, it feels as if he had no intention to actually help. It was just a thing to say to insult the guy that he's currently feuding with, right? I really doubt the character of the man. I find him to be a hypocrite. So if Canelo went and stood in the ring with him, even though we all know it would have been a circus throughout the promotion of the fight, and the fight itself would have been a joke because Canelo would have just flattened him whenever he wanted to, Jake Paul still would have felt as if he walks away from that situation with some credibility because, at least I went in there and fought the best of the best. At least I've got the balls to do it, right? I even saw people online talk about how, oh yeah, Jake Paul, you can say what you want about him, but he's got the balls to fight. He's got the balls to fight. I don't know about you lot, right? But if you're getting paid tens of millions of dollars, upwards of $50 million, 99% of the able-bodied men out there would sign up to getting knocked out by Canelo for that sort of a payday, right? And the thing is, there's no risk in that fight for Jake Paul. He's here talking about how he wants to be the best of the best, but he's not challenging himself against realistic opponents that will help him progress up the rankings to actually become a legit boxer in one of the 4 governing bodies. Fighting Canelo does nothing on that front, but he will try and spin that and use that as a way to show that, oh yeah, I'm a real fighter, I'm a real man. It's not. There's no risk in that because he's going to lose regardless, right? It was quite funny because I was watching the fallout because Ariel Helwani is quite close to obviously the Jake Paul camp and just generally has sources within the industry, and he was talking about how things kind of played out. And there was a couple of points that were made by Ariel Helwani, both on his show and on The Crack last Friday, by Ariel Helwani and a few others. that I don't agree with. The first thing that they mentioned is, why are the Arabs so against Jake Paul and Canelo fighting in May, and then they can have a deal after that from September onwards for Terence Crawford and whoever else Canelo fights beyond that? Like, they should want Canelo to fight Jake Paul because that will help promote Canelo for a September fight that they're going to be putting on, which makes logical sense, right? But that only matters if you're concerned about the revenue that the September fight with Terence creates. They don't care about how much money these fights make. Every single card they put on is hemorrhaging money. They don't care. They're losing money hand over fist on every single fight that they put on. They're just here to show that they can do things that others can't because they've got the resources that others don't have. And actually, them stopping the Jake Paul and Canelo fight happening was a bolder move than them allowing it to happen, if that makes sense. That was a real moment where Turkey put his bollocks on the table and showed what he's capable of doing. Not only is he capable of making fights happen, he can stop them happening as well. Another thing that Ariel Helwani said that I don't agree with at all is he mentioned how the fact that Canelo was actually negotiating with Jake Paul is a moral victory. Because 2 years ago, when Canelo was asked about Jake Paul, Canelo laughed. But then he also said in the same sentence that, oh yeah, but it's widely known that Canelo is here he's a businessman first before he's a boxer. So he's here for the money. So he's here to maximize his revenue with every single fight that he has, right? So to me, how can it be a moral victory if you've already accepted that Canelo is here for a payday? As Canelo's said himself famously, payday, payday, I won't try and do the accent. How's that a moral victory? You've already told us that Canelo is in it for the dollar. And at that point, it felt as if fighting Jake Paul would have earned him the most money. So he's willing to do it. Where was Jake Paul at 2 years ago? What was he fighting on? What platform was he fighting on? Was it DAZN? Was it Triller? Do you know what I mean? So perhaps at that point 2 years ago, a fight with Jake Paul just wouldn't have generated the kind of money that it can now because of what happened with Jake Paul and Mike Tyson on Netflix. Jake Paul himself, this going back to the point I was making earlier about his character or lack thereof, the tirade that he's been going on online, talking about how Canelo's got no loyalty because he's never really had an extended period of time fighting with one promoter, and how he's loyal to Netflix, and that's why he wanted the fight to be on Netflix. But Canelo, he's got no loyalty to his fans because he wanted it to be on pay-per-view. Jake Paul's had multiple fights on pay-per-view, and the only reason he signed this deal with Netflix is because they offered him the most money. Now, where I come from, loyalty isn't earned through money. It's earned through respect and understanding. Do you know what I mean? So he's not loyal himself. He's just loyal to Netflix because they're offering him the most money at this moment. He spoke about how he wanted to put on a really big fight for the Mexican fans and the American fans, and instead Canelo's gone and done a deal with the sports washing Arabs. And I found that particularly funny because when Jake Paul was making this fight, I sincerely doubt in the forefront of his mind was an amazing event for American fans and Mexican fans. It was about him making as much money as he possibly could, and that would be a fight with Canelo. He didn't care about the fans. And him talking about sports washing and, oh, you're signing a deal with the Arabs. This guy fought Tommy Fury in Saudi Arabia. He did a deal with the Arabs himself. It's just funny how he's conveniently forgot that. So yeah, as you can tell, I'm slightly amused by all of this. I'm happy that Tommy Fury, sorry, I keep saying the wrong names. Jake Paul is sat there twiddling his thumbs, trying to find someone to fight that will make, I don't even know what the right word is, a fraction of the money a fight with Canelo would have. And I'm glad he's there now. And let's see whose granddad he wheels out, whose cab driver uncle he wheels out, whose uncle who used to be a good fighter 35 years ago, who he faces. Like Carl Froch's piped up, Tony Bellew's piped up, and you know what? If he was to sign a fight with one of them two, I'd be impressed by Jake Paul. I'd be like, all right, cool. Look, you're now actually fighting someone that actually used to box. They might be old, they might be past it, they might have been retired 5-10 years ago, but at least they know what they're doing when they step through those ropes. Let's see how you get on. But I doubt it. It'll probably be an ex-MMA fighter, someone like a Darren Till, I don't know. And it'll be someone that Jake Paul has the potential to beat, and then talk about how he's one of the greatest in the world when he's not, and he's got a shit haircut. How about that? Anyway, let me know what you guys think about the stuff that I've said in this video. Please feel free to share it if you've enjoyed it. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I'll catch you guys next time.